What would you do if the safety net you've counted on suddenly disappeared when you needed it most?
Home once stood.
It's just gone. Everything is just gone.
Picture this: flames tearing through your neighborhood, the air thick with smoke, and the sound of crackling fire getting louder by the second. You call for help, but no one comes. It sounds like a nightmare, doesn't it? For 20 black celebrities, this was their reality during the devastating Los Angeles wildfires of 2025.
Acted like Miles Teller. This was his home right behind us, and his wife posted what is now a viral picture.
Their homes, which stood as symbols of their hard work and achievements, were reduced to ashes. And what's worse, allegations surfaced that help was refused, sparking outrage and raising tough questions. Was it chaos or something more systemic? Stick with us as we unravel the heartbreaking stories of those who lost it all and the deeper issues that lie beneath. Overview of the Los Angeles wildfires. Wildfires in Los Angeles are no stranger to destruction, but the 2025 wildfires were a beast of their own. Starting as a small brush fire in a remote canyon, it quickly exploded into an unstoppable inferno, driven by unrelenting Santa Ana winds. Within hours, thousands of acres were engulfed in flames. The fire moved faster than anyone could have anticipated, leaping highways, devouring homes, and turning lush landscapes into smoldering wastelands. The scale of destruction was staggering. Over 90,000 acres were burned, hundreds of structures were lost, and entire neighborhoods were left unrecognizable. Streets once lined with beautiful homes were now filled with piles of ash and twisted metal. Families fled with just the clothes on their backs, unsure if they would have anything to return to. And in the midst of it all, Los Angeles' already stretched firefighting resources were put to the ultimate test.
And I was like, how do you choose? Like my brain actually stopped working because I was so overwhelmed. So I grabbed my kids' tent.
Firefighters worked around the clock, risking their lives to protect as many homes as possible. Helicopters hovered above, dumping water on the blazing hillsides, while fire trucks roared through neighborhoods. But despite their heroic efforts, resources weren't enough to meet the overwhelming demand.
Firefighters are scrambling to contain several major fires tonight.
Tough decisions had to be made, decisions that would determine which homes could be saved and which would be left to burn. For many, the wildfires were a grim reminder of how vulnerable we are to nature's fury. But for some, like the celebrities in this story, it was also a harsh lesson in how unequal the system can feel in times of crisis. Impact on black celebrities. 15 black celebrities stood at the center of this heartbreak, watching everything they worked for disappear. Jhené Aiko. Jhené Aiko, known for her soothing voice and heartfelt lyrics, called her hillside home a sanctuary. It was more than a house.
And was purchased in July of 2021 for the amount of $3.4 million.
It was her creative haven, where she wrote music and found solace from the chaos of fame. But during the wildfires, her refuge turned into a nightmare.
Jhené Aiko's house was basically burnt down.
She described the feeling of helplessness as the flames crept closer. Despite evacuation orders, she held on to hope until the last minute, only to return to ashes. Losing this home was like losing a piece of herself, and fans rallied around her to show their support during this emotional time. Tina Knowles. For Tina Knowles, her Malibu dream home was a representation of everything she had built over decades of hard work. As a designer and matriarch to one of music's most iconic families, this home was her retreat. When the fires reached Malibu, she barely had time to grab personal items before evacuating. Tina later spoke about the deep pain of losing irreplaceable family heirlooms and memorabilia. Her resilience shines through as she vowed to rebuild, but the loss left a profound mark, highlighting the emotional toll these fires take even on those with vast resources.
With the clothes on their back, Tina Knowles, Billy Crystal, among those of
LeBron James. Even for a superstar like LeBron James, fire doesn't discriminate. His Brentwood mansion, a luxurious retreat for his family, became a target of the wildfire's wrath. LeBron recounted the frantic moments of gathering his wife and kids, scrambling to leave as smoke billowed across the neighborhood. Though they escaped unharmed, He shared how the trauma of nearly losing everything weighed heavily on his family. His openness about the experience resonated with fans, proving that even the strongest among us can feel vulnerable in the face of nature's fury. Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry, a man who built an empire through creativity and determination, faced not only the threat of flames, but also the betrayal of financial systems. He revealed how his insurance company canceled policies weeks before the wildfires, leaving him unprotected. As the fires neared, Tyler tried to secure his properties, but the overwhelming force of the flames made it impossible. Losing his home felt personal, especially given the challenges he faced in securing his success as a Black filmmaker. Tyler's story sparked conversations about the unethical practices of insurance companies during crises. Anthony Anderson, beloved for his humor, could do nothing but watch as his home became a casualty of the fire. Anthony Anderson. Anthony Anderson, the charismatic actor known for his roles in Blackish and other hit shows, never imagined the day he'd stand helpless as flames devoured his home. For Anthony, his house wasn't just a place to live. It was the heart of countless family gatherings and celebrations. The fire came without warning, leaving little time to act. Anthony described the fear of hearing evacuation orders and the eerie silence as he walked through the empty streets of his neighborhood one last time. Despite his usual upbeat persona, he shared the raw pain of losing years of cherished memories. His story became a rallying cry for better disaster preparedness and equitable responses, as he questioned why certain areas received aid while others seemed forgotten. Viola Davis. For Viola Davis, losing her family's property wasn't just about the structure, it was about losing a connection to her roots. The Oscar-winning actress had purchased the home to honor her humble beginnings, a place where her family could come together and celebrate their legacy. The wildfires destroyed not only the house, but also keepsakes from her early career and family heirlooms passed down through generations. Viola spoke about the heartbreak of watching the news as the flames consumed her neighborhood, knowing there was nothing she could do. She later reflected on the deeper impact of the loss, emphasizing how disasters often hit marginalized communities harder due to systemic inequities. Her advocacy for change continues to inspire others to fight for justice in emergency response systems. Kerry Washington. Kerry Washington, best known for her powerful performances in Scandal, cherished her property as a retreat from the public eye. It was a place where she could recharge and focus on her family. When the wildfires approached, she faced the unthinkable, choosing between saving personal items or getting out in time. The fire moved so quickly that Kerry barely had a chance to say goodbye to the life she had built in that space. Later, she shared her frustration about the disparity in how resources were distributed during the fires, questioning why certain areas seemed prioritized over others. For Kerry, the loss wasn't just physical, it was a stark reminder of the inequities that often surface during disasters. Her bravery in speaking out has made her a voice for change, urging action to address these systemic failures. Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle, the talented actor and advocate for justice, was no stranger to fighting for what's right. But when the wildfires destroyed his residence, it felt like a battle he couldn't win. Don's home was not only a sanctuary, but also a symbol of his accomplishments in an industry that often overlooks Black talent. The fire swept through his neighborhood with little warning, leaving him and his family scrambling to evacuate. Don later opened up about the feelings of abandonment as firefighters focused their efforts on nearby wealthier communities. His loss reignited his passion for advocacy, leading him to call for transparency in how emergency services are allocated. Don's determination to turn his personal tragedy into a catalyst for change has inspired others to demand fairness and accountability in disaster response. 9. Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade. Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade, one of Hollywood's most beloved power couples, lost more than just their home during the wildfires. They lost a sense of safety for their family. The couple had built their residence as a sanctuary, a place where their children could grow up feeling secure and cherished. When the wildfires reached their neighborhood, the family barely had time to pack essentials before fleeing. Gabrielle later spoke about the haunting experience of watching the fire consume their memories from a distance. For Dwayne, the loss was particularly devastating, as it symbolized the vulnerability even the most successful families can face in the face of nature's fury. The couple has since used their platform to support fire relief efforts and advocate for more comprehensive disaster response systems, ensuring their Oprah Winfrey. Few people in the world command as much respect and admiration as Oprah Winfrey. Her Montecito estate was a personal refuge, a symbol of her hard-earned success. When the fires crept dangerously close to her property, Oprah shared the terrifying experience with her followers, describing the thick smoke and glowing embers that filled the air. While her estate narrowly escaped complete destruction, the surrounding areas weren't so fortunate, leaving her and her neighbors shaken. Oprah's loss extended beyond property. She expressed deep sorrow for the community members who lost everything. Always the humanitarian, Oprah immediately stepped up, pledging resources and rallying others to support those affected. Her actions highlighted not only the devastation caused by the fire. John Legend and Chrissy Teigen. John Legend and Chrissy Teigen have always been open about their lives, but the wildfires brought a level of vulnerability they weren't prepared for. Their home, nestled in one of Los Angeles's picturesque neighborhoods, was suddenly under threat as the flames advanced. With their 2 young children in tow, the couple evacuated, leaving behind a house filled with memories. Chrissy later posted about the emotional toll of leaving her children's belongings, knowing they might never see them again. For John, the fire was a stark reminder of how unpredictable life can be, even for those with privilege. The couple has since spoken out about the need for better wildfire preparedness and equitable emergency responses, turning their personal loss into a rallying cry for action. Dr. Dre, a music icon and entrepreneur, watched helplessly as the wildfires threatened the life he had built. His home, a sprawling estate that represented his monumental success, became a target of nature's unrelenting force. Dre described the surreal experience of seeing flames approaching and realizing that his wealth and status couldn't shield him from disaster. Despite his best efforts to protect his property, the fire's intensity left little hope. Afterward, he expressed frustration at the lack of clear communication and resources available during the crisis. For Dre, the loss was a harsh reminder of life's fragility. Also fueled his determination to use his platform to advocate for better disaster management and support for those who can't afford to rebuild as easily. Serena Williams. Serena Williams, a legend on and off the tennis court, faced one of the most terrifying moments of her life when the wildfires closed in on her home. For Serena, her residence wasn't just a house, it was a sanctuary where she balanced her role as a mother, athlete, and businesswoman. When evacuation orders came, Serena acted swiftly, prioritizing her family's safety over material possessions. However, the emotional toll of leaving behind the home she worked so hard to build was immense. In the aftermath, Serena has been vocal about the need for equitable disaster relief, emphasizing that rebuilding is far harder for marginalized communities. Her courage in sharing her experience has inspired others to push for systemic change. Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx, the Oscar-winning actor, musician, and comedian, has always been a symbol of resilience and versatility. His sprawling Los Angeles estate wasn't just a testament to his hard-earned success, it was a sanctuary for his family and a hub for creativity. The estate often served as a backdrop for family gatherings, music sessions, and moments of solitude. When the wildfires began their destructive path, Jamie initially hoped his property might be spared. However, as the flames grew closer, he was forced to make the gut-wrenching decision to evacuate, leaving behind priceless family memorabilia, musical equipment, and awards that chronicled his illustrious career. Jamie described the surreal experience of watching the news, hoping to see his home intact, only to learn that it had been reduced to rubble. He later opened up about how this loss reminded him of life's unpredictability and the fragility of material possessions. In the aftermath, Jamie chose to focus on rebuilding, not just his home, but also his sense of community. He has since partnered with local organizations to raise awareness about climate change and provide support for families who lack the resources to start over. Taraji P. Henson. Taraji P. Henson's serene retreat in Los Angeles was a safe haven from her demanding career. It was a space where she could recharge and spend quality time with her family. When the fires advanced, Taraji faced the nightmare of leaving behind everything she had worked so hard to build. The flames consumed her property, taking with it precious mementos from her journey as an actress. Taraji later opened up about the mental toll of losing a place she considered sacred. Despite the pain, she turned her tragedy into action by partnering with organizations that support displaced families, reminding her fans that strength often arises from the darkest moments. Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey, the iconic comedian and TV host, experienced the unimaginable when the wildfires destroyed his sprawling Los Angeles estate. For Steve, this home represented decades of perseverance and success. He recounted the terrifying moment when he and his family had to evacuate, leaving behind irreplaceable family heirlooms and memories. The loss was deeply personal, shaking the foundation of everything he had worked for. In true Steve Harvey fashion, he found a way to inspire others, speaking out about the importance of preparedness and offering financial support to those who couldn't rebuild as easily. His story highlighted the disparities in disaster recovery, especially for marginalized communities. Zendaya, the young actress and producer adored for her talent and grace, saw her cherished home reduced to ashes. For Zendaya, this property wasn't just a house. It was a retreat where she could step away from the public eye and focus on her art. The wildfires came with little warning, forcing her to evacuate in a matter of minutes. She described the heartbreak of losing personal keepsakes and the physical space that had nurtured her creativity. Instead of retreating into despair, Zendaya used her platform to raise awareness about the fires, supporting relief efforts and encouraging her fans to take action. Her resilience inspired others to find hope, even in the face of devastating loss. Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan, known for his powerful roles in films like Black Panther and Creed, lost his dream home in Los Angeles to the wildfires. Michael described how the house symbolized the fulfillment of his aspirations, a place where he could celebrate his achievements with his loved ones. The fires swept through his neighborhood with incredible speed, leaving no chance to salvage anything. Michael later spoke about the emotional impact of the loss, sharing how it served as a stark reminder of life's fragility. Determined to help others, he collaborated with organizations providing relief to wildfire victims, emphasizing the importance of equity in recovery efforts. Ava DuVernay. Ava DuVernay, the groundbreaking filmmaker behind projects like Selma and When They See Us, faced the heartbreaking loss of her home to the wildfires. For Ava, this wasn't just a house, it was a creative sanctuary where she wrote scripts, planned productions, and mentored emerging talent. The fire not only destroyed her property, but also consumed priceless memorabilia and unfinished work. Ava spoke candidly about the emotional devastation and the challenges of starting over. Refusing to let the loss define her, she used her voice to advocate for change, calling out systemic inequalities in disaster responses and urging lawmakers to prioritize underrepresented communities in recovery plans. Issa Rae. Issa Rae, the trailblazing actress, writer, and producer behind Insecure, watched in disbelief as her Los Angeles home succumbed to the wildfires. This house represented her journey from modest beginnings to Hollywood stardom, a space where she celebrated her heritage and her hard-earned success. As the fire approached, Issa had only minutes to evacuate, leaving behind the personal touches that made her house a home. She later spoke about the deep emotional wounds caused by the loss, emphasizing the need for better wildfire prevention and equitable recovery efforts. Issa's determination to use her platform for advocacy turned her personal tragedy into a catalyst for systemic change. Each of these celebrities had their lives turned upside down, but as they coped with the loss, whispers of discrimination in the fire response grew louder. Firefighters' response and allegations of refused help. Firefighters are heroes. We see them running into danger when everyone else is running away. But even heroes have their limits. During the 2025 wildfires, those limits were tested like never before. With fires raging across multiple fronts and resources stretched thin, firefighters had to make split-second decisions about where to deploy their efforts. And that's where the controversy begins. Some residents in the hardest-hit areas reported feeling abandoned. They shared stories of calling for help, only to be told that no units were available. For the celebrities on this list, the experience was no different. Imagine watching flames creep closer to your home, dialing for help, and hearing that there's nothing anyone can do. Reports began circulating that certain neighborhoods received more attention than others. Wealthier areas, often predominantly white, seemed to have more firefighters on the ground, while other areas, including those where black celebrities lived, felt neglected. Was this a matter of strategy or something more systemic? One particularly troubling incident involved a family who lived near one of the affected celebrities. They pleaded with firefighters to save their home, only to be told to evacuate. The family later claimed that neighboring properties in a wealthier part of town were prioritized, leaving them to fend for themselves. The Los Angeles Fire Department defended its actions, explaining that resources were allocated based on fire behavior and accessibility. But for those who felt abandoned, the explanations offered little comfort. The allegations sparked a larger conversation about how emergency services are distributed during disasters and whether bias, conscious or unconscious, plays a role. These stories raise uncomfortable but necessary questions. If resources are limited, how do we decide who gets help and who doesn't? And when those decisions disproportionately affect certain communities, what does that say about the system as a whole? Historical context and systemic issues. The challenges Black communities face during natural disasters aren't new. History shows a troubling pattern of unequal treatment, whether it's hurricanes, wildfires, or earthquakes. Some say this is tied to systemic bias, where wealthier, predominantly white neighborhoods receive quicker attention during crises. The Los Angeles Fire Department has faced scrutiny before. Allegations of discrimination in hiring practices and resource distribution have surfaced in the past. Could these same biases have influenced decisions during the wildfires? The lack of clarity fuels frustration. When you mix systemic